So we're here at the front of house booth, the AV booth, at Cross Purpose Living Hope, and you're looking at the equipment from left to right. There are two large equipment racks underneath the desk. There's one on the left and one on the right. The one on the right holds the master sequencer that turns on and off all of the equipment. So as you walk in order to do something, you're going to want to unlock these. The doors swing open all the way. The way that the hinges work, you can simply lift up on the lid if you'd like not to hit your knees on these if you're here for long periods of time, and take them off. So I'll go ahead and do that with both right now. You may need to talk to somebody about where the keys are located when you're doing this. The very top unit here is the power sequencer. This unit will need to be turned on in order to turn on all the equipment in the space. There are a couple of exceptions of equipment that you can turn on and off without having to turn this key, but for the most part, turning this key turns everything on, including the lights, the sound, everything in multiple spots. So you'll notice that it says off on the left. That's at the 9 o'clock position. There's a remote position at 12 o'clock. We're not using that, so you don't have to worry about that. But you're going to want to turn the key 2 clicks from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock and over to the 3 o'clock on position. So 1 click, nothing will happen. 2 clicks, you're going to start to see the delay LEDs illuminate. There's 3 delays. There's a reason for this. It sequences all the equipment on over the course of about 1 minute to 2 minutes. It turns the audio equipment on, the soundboard on in a very specific sequence and with time delays so that there aren't pops in the speakers. You're not causing any damage to equipment and where things turn on. When you turn off the system, you're going to do the exact opposite. You turn it once to remote and second time to off, and that sequence will run in backwards order, which will turn off the speakers and the amplifiers first and the board second, again, to prevent popping. Okay. In this rack, in addition to the sequencer from top to bottom, you have a network switch that connects all the devices to the AV network as well as the network inside the building. These are just rack fillers. Then you have a hearing assist transmitter. This receives audio from the audio console and transmits it to the hearing assist packs, which we can go over later. It can also be used for translation in real time if that's something that's applicable. You have the audio amplifiers for the cry room as well as the lobby. Okay, cry room, aka nursing mother's room. Inside these 2 drawers that are also lockable if you so desire are wireless microphones. Are stored in these. Should be 2 belt packs and 4 handhelds in each drawer. You have to pull this tab down to release a latch and then pull out. Otherwise, if you just try and pull, that latch is keeping you from opening as well as the lock. So unlock, latch down, pull. Okay. All of the wireless microphones take AA batteries. And then in the very bottom, there's an amplifier for the exterior speakers. These are the ones on the south face of the building that you can use for barbecues, events, outdoor baptisms, all sorts of fun stuff. Whether it's background music or wireless microphone used for announcements, things of that nature. In order to just be able to make sure at a bird's eye glance that everything is set correctly, the way that all the systems are programmed on the amplifiers, all the knobs are all the way up all the time. So it's super easy to just take a quick look or just run through and try and rotate to the right on everything, and if it's all the way up, then it's set correctly. On the other amplifier, or sorry, on the other on the other rack to the left, you have a power conditioner up top. This is just a glorified power strip for all the equipment inside the rack. These are some convenience outlets. If your operators have phones or anything that you need to plug in here, like if we were charging your camera, whatever. There's also one of those over on this side that I forgot to mention. Okay, this unit basically stays on all the time. So if this isn't illuminated in the on position, this stuff won't come on. So just make sure it's on all the time. Following down, you have the Blackmagic video switcher. This is how you transmit video to the front screens, the rear screens, around the building, etc. Then you have a wireless receiver for video. This is the Alphatron video unit. You can use this transmitter here to plug into any laptop or device that has USB-C video capability. It automatically connects to this unit, and you can send, say, a laptop video output from the stage to all the screens if that's something that you wanted to do. Okay. Yeah. Around the building, there are many, many meeting rooms that have this exact same device set, but they have HDMI versions. So if you absolutely have to have an HDMI transmitter, you can bring it here, plug it in where it says pairing, and you can sync the HDMI version. But Bob's asked that we have the USB-C version in this space. Okay. Next is basically storage and charging area. You have 4 hearing assist packs. These are rechargeable batteries, so they just set in here for charging. It comes out and it works a lot like an in-ear monitor pack or a headset pack, or like think of it like almost like an old Walkman. Okay, these are already pre-programmed and synced with the hearing assist. The general rule of thumb is if something has a microphone on it, if it's a wireless headset microphone, if it's a handheld microphone, if it's an instrument that's plugged into the board, if their sound is coming through the speakers, it's also coming through here. There are 2 types of hearing assist devices. You have this one, which is just like a headset, right? It's just a single earphone that a user can put on and amplify the sound much louder, much clearer than the acoustics in the room. So that's one option. The second option, they're still packed up just to keep organized, is what's called a T-coil or a hearing loop necklace, okay, a neck loop. This plugs into this headphone jack, and they just wear it around their neck like a necklace, and it creates like a magnetic field around the person's head, and the person might have hearing aids, and they just flipped the T-coil option on their hearing aids, and their hearing aids will wirelessly pick this up. It's a little bit more discreet than a headphone, okay? The third option is this actually, the entire system is connected over Wi-Fi. So if a user connects to the AV network in the building over Wi-Fi, they can download the Williams AV Hearing Assist app, and they can actually hear everything that's happening on the board in real time with their phone, and their hearing aids will connect to their phone via Bluetooth.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, that can be used for hearing assist or real-time translation. Okay. Down below, you have your computer. It's also got a lock on it. You twist the lock, open it up, and then there's a power switch down below. So I'm going to go ahead and actually turn that on. The computer is now sequencing up, and I can close and lock this. Again, if the key's not here, you'll have to ask somebody. I'm sure Scott or Bob can tell you where it is. And then as of right now, Scott's keeping his headset in this area as well. So looking at the front of house, the AV booth desk, you have different pieces of equipment. We'll start from left to right. This is the PTZ camera. PTZ stands for pan tilt zoom. It's just a fancy way of saying motorized camera. This is the motorized camera controller. You can move the camera using the joystick. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can change the color temperature. We can get into that more in detail later. You can also save presets so that your users can very easily change what they're looking at or how the camera is positioned and what it's zoomed in on or focused on. This is called a multi-viewer. This is showing you in real time the input sources on the bottom half of the screen. There's 8 total input sources that you can use. This is connected directly to the Blackmagic video switcher in the left-hand rack. It shows you the possible inputs that you could be choosing from, and then it has what's called a preview and a program pane. Preview is essentially the video input that you're prepping to go live with, and program is live. In our particular installation, program means it's going live to a stream, right? This is what you're outputting to the stream. It doesn't have any bearing on what's happening in this room. However, There is direct connection to multiple spaces like classroom 4-5, classroom 1-2 that get feed from this room as though it was streamed, but it's direct to the television as an HDMI input. So if something is here, the audio and video, the audio meters and the video, whatever is live going to the stream is also being broadcast to multiple locations across the building.
Okay, so just a question about
Yeah.
that. If I get told, gee, can you send that to the classroom over there? How do I do that?
It automatically goes over there and you just have to use classroom 1-2 to turn the TVs on, turn the volume up, and then just set the input on the TVs to the correct one.
So
That's
if I
it.
find HDM1,
HDMI, I believe it's HDMI 3 in that room.
whatever one it is, it'll just, I don't have to do anything.
No, you just pop it up and it'll go live.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like an input. Think of it like another device on your home TV.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. The next two screens to the right are simply displays, two displays on the computer that we turned on earlier. So they can be utilized for anything that you see fit. ProPresenter, streaming, vMix control, etc., etc. And then down here you have a small lighting controller. Okay. This has 10 presets for the theatrical lighting for the stage. Once the system is sequenced on, this becomes live, at which point you can select a preset and it will load that preset up and put the lights on. One is all the lights on, all focused on stage, and then the lights change slightly as you go through the numbers. 2 is slightly dim, more dim, but still all on the stage. And then 3 continues to cycle down in terms of brightness. 5 is, I think, the lowest. And then we jump to 6, which goes wider. 7 starts to bring the light down on the front area. So if you were to put like a baptismal pool down there, or if you have too much stuff going on the stage and you need to bring people down off the stage, like presentations or walk-ups or whatever, that allows us to bring it down. 8 is, let's see, I think the stage off and just the floor. 9 is a really wide wash on this whole area. I can't really think of a circumstance where you need that right away. Like if you did 6-foot rounds in here or something for like a craft fair, or you just wanted to have more light on the floor for whatever reason. And then 10 is all off. So the 2 that you'll be using 9 times out of 10 is going to be 10 to turn all the lights off and 1 to turn all the lights on. And that's it.
Excellent.
Okay. You're obviously going to want the lights on basically anytime you have somebody on the stage, particularly in the evening time when the natural light's lower or when you're intentionally trying to stream. The way that I always view the stream and the camera is, unfortunately, the entire space is a broadcast facility now. So you need to have light to facilitate it as though you were filming. Especially with the bright backlight, you'll notice that the curtains are down, or the shades are down, and the camera is very sensitive to light in terms of where it focuses. So you want to cast more light on the front of people and not fight the light that'll be coming behind their heads for the camera. Okay. And then further over on the right-hand side, you have the audio console. The audio console turns on and off automatically with the rest of the system. If for whatever reason it gets turned off or it doesn't come on, there's just a toggle switch on-off on the back right, just in case someone accidentally does that and it doesn't come on. The switch is on the back right of the console. What I set up for Living Hope is, we haven't yet set up one for cross purpose, which we can do today, but when the console comes on, it's a very good method of procedure to assume that somebody did something to the console and put it in a state that you might not be familiar with. So you want to recall the latest scene. I made it extremely easy by programming this button over here in the assignable button section. Number 12 is lit up. You simply hit 12 and it says, hey, do you want to load this scene? Right now, the 12 easy button is set up for Living Hope. It says, do you want to load the scene 01 Living Hope? You have 2 different ways to do this. You can hit confirm by pushing this button. You can say it says confirm here, or you can use the right cursor key. Both automatically recall the board into a state where it's ready to go for use with Living Hope. And then once Cross Purpose gets in here and more identifies what it is that they want to do and does some custom stuff, we'll set a scene up for them as well. This is a digital audio console. It has 32 channels, but as you can see, all these faders, which are essentially a vertical volume knob, you just turn things up and down this way instead of left and right. There's only 24 of them, right? Did I do my math right? Yeah, 8, 16, 24.
All right.
In the middle of the console here, you need to imagine a line. So on this side of these 4 buttons and on this side of these 4 buttons. These are all the input channels, okay? These faders are toggleable to show the volume control for input sources that are coming to the consoles. Those could be instruments, they could be wireless microphones, they could be inputs from the computer for music, okay? On the right-hand side, you have groups and outputs. So groups allow you to control multiple things at one time with one fader. So this one fader right now, for instance, is set up as the quote unquote band fader for Living Hope that controls the keyboard, the drum machine, the electronic drums themselves. I can turn them all up and down or mute them all with one single channel strip. The next one is vocals. The next one's speaking, which is like pastor's headset and handhelds for translation, things like that. Then I have pastors. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Speaking is just handhelds. Then you have headsets here. And then this is all our effects. So for instance, you have a song, you have lots of reverb and delay on it. Sounds beautiful in the room. But then Peggy starts praying and you don't want it to be echoey. You can just pull this down really quickly or mute it. And that way there's not an echo on a prayer. And then when she's done and it goes back into another song, you can just pull it back up. Lastly is your playback, which is the PC and the wireless video input, right? So that wireless video transmitter has audio as well. It comes here, as does the PC. If you're playing something off YouTube or a video from Pro Presenter, it arrives over here, and this is a group as well, okay? The last fader, which we haven't talked about yet, is the master fader. This is the volume overall in the whole space, okay? Let's look at these buttons here. So as we toggle through these buttons, they actually change what these 8 faders and these channel strips, these mute buttons reflect. So right now these are groups, aka DCAs. They're the same thing, it's just a different name, okay? If we go one down, we go into buses. So the first 3 buses are the monitor controls. This is the master volume and where you change settings for the left monitor, the center monitor, and the right monitor. And to be clear, these are stage monitor speakers. They are not a display, okay? So if the person on stage or the instrumentalist wants to make adjustments to what input sources are being sent to that speaker on stage, you make those changes here, okay? These are not being used right now, hence why they're black and why they're muted. Bus 9 through 16 are some things that are pre-set up right now. So these are sends again. Their buses are the end destinations that we have the ability to send an input source on the console to with separate audio control from what comes out the main speakers. That's the concept. And so we have the ability to change what goes to the lobby. I know that Cross Purpose has during the week, they just want background music out there, and they might want background music out in the lobby or the narthex while simultaneously a class is going on here. So while you're not using this, Scott, that might come into play for theirs, which is why it's there. There's headphones in the cry room that you would use for translation. That's what this is, right? We unmute this and then determine what we want sent there, so that it could just be microphone going to the headset in the cry room.
So when you say used for translation, somebody in the cry room was speaking in a different language?
There's a headset over here. I'm going to show you because right now it's in this here, this bag, and it's like a set of headphones, but it has a microphone on it as well. And so what would be happening in the cry room is we would have it on as such, and I could be hearing whatever I put into that headphone bus. So if I'm a translator, I would be hearing Scott speak in English, and then I would translate in real time into Spanish, at which point my microphone would then be sent to all the headsets for the hearing assist system. Does that make sense? So in real time, it could be going anywhere. We can make this microphone go into the speakers in the room if we want it, but you have translators on stage. It could be going to people's headsets. It could be going to the stream even in real time. It's up to you guys. It could be potentially a third language. Like you have real-time translation of happening with English and Spanish. Maybe someone's listening and translating to Portuguese in real time or something like that. But that's why when you send to that bus that says Cry Room headphones, it's going to me and I'm translating in real time.
Okay, so the bus sends the signal
To the headphones, yes.
and then the headphone
The microphone comes back here as an input that we can then send to our desired output.
Okay.
Right now it's not going anywhere because we're not using it that way, but that's the design.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a send here that goes to the Blackmagic video switcher. So last week I had my headphones on and I was trying to mix a good stream sound. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to that.
I did.
Was it okay? Okay, thanks. Because you were saying it's gonna maybe not be great, but it was okay.
The hardest part.
Was it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So then you have effects. These last four are just effects for the room. It's effects for the music, basically. There's a short reverb, like, a room sound, basically. A long reverb, like a hall. And then you have a chorus effect and a delay, which is like an echo. So these are being used to add dimension and fullness sound to the singers and the instrumentalists in the band.
So currently that's all on.
That's all on.
Okay.
So right now, everything that we listen to from the speakers is going to the Blackmagic video. That's how the audio gets to the stream. Okay. And then these are effects that we had mixed in for music. That's part of the balance and the things that I was doing last week. So it didn't sound so sterile and dry on the stream. Okay.
Yep.
Or in the room. And then last but not least, we need to take a look at this where it says MTX, which is short for matrix. And there's 6 matrices on this console. Okay. This is probably one of the more important elements of how to send sound throughout the building. You have a Cry Room speaker. So inside that room over there, there's a speaker in the ceiling. Now this is using the Cry Room as a nursing mother's room, where now anything that comes out of these speakers is going into that speaker. You can toggle that on and off, but just know that inside that room there's also a volume control on the wall. So if someone comes in and says, hey, can you turn the Cry Room down? You can just politely show them, hey, there's a knob on the wall that says speaker, just turn it down that way. Okay. The lobby, you also have control of the lobby. Unlike the Cry Room, though, the speakers in the lobby don't have a knob on the wall. So if someone wants more or less sound out there, they have to come in and adjust this. Okay. Next, you have exterior. These are the outside speakers. So it's the 2 speakers on the south wall underneath that awning. Right now, they're muted. Again, there's no attenuator or volume knob out there. So you'd have to come in here and turn this up or down. But it's set for the most part where if it's kind of reasonably proportional with the volume in the room. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So right now, we have that muted.
Okay, just so I clearly understand this.
Yes.
This one here that says the lobby.
Yes.
If we forget to mute that
Yes.
tomorrow, then all the church service is going to the lobby.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yep. So like one thing that might be more common than not is your team might mute that during rehearsals because your congregation might be gathering.
Yeah.
Right. So you're doing rehearsals, sound check maybe in the morning. You don't want them to hear all your songs that you're rehearsing over and over again, for instance, or you're doing a sound check on the microphone. You keep that out of the lobby, for instance. Okay. Side fills. So side fills are filling up that side area. Okay. If you don't have anybody over there, or maybe you're not using the space in that way, you can just mute those speakers.
Okay.
And then following is main left and main right. So those are the main speakers in the room. Now, what's important to know about all of these pink outputs that we just talked about, all these matrices, is that they're fed directly from this main PA master. So if I turn this down, it turns down the volume being sent to all of these different outputs. So if it's just too loud in the room in general and I turn this down, again, remember I said earlier, all these outputs are set proportionally. It would turn down the sound in the Cry Room and the lobby, etc., which is probably what you want, because if it's too loud here, it's likely too loud everywhere else as well.
Okay.
But just so you know, if you mute this, it's going to remove all the sound from these areas. Okay.
Okay. And on the far right, these
Mm-hmm. So these are all assignable buttons. Mute groups on the bottom. These are groups, again, you can control multiple channels at one time. But if you wanted to mute them all or mute certain groups of channels, like again, the band or spoken word, you could program these to mute certain channels. Right now, they're not in use and they're not doing anything because they're almost redundant.
Mm-hmm.
So 9 times out of 10, I think the easiest way to operate this console is to basically come in and live on this DCA group. So you have all your inputs on the left side on one singular layer.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I want to make multiple changes or whatever mute groups, I can do that here because the DCAs are volume and mute. Whereas this mute group is only mute.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to mute the band, I can do it here. If I want to turn it down, I can do it here, right?
Sure.
So right now, these are kind of redundant, future-proof, probably don't need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's a good segue. Before I go up here, I'm going to show you over here. So 16 inputs, and just like the center column of buttons, top to bottom, allowed us to toggle through what these 8 faders and these 8 scribble strips, these little screens that tell you what each channel is actually doing, are reflecting. The same can be said for these left 16. So right now we're on the button that says inputs 1 through 16. That's showing us the first 16 inputs on the console, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then I jog to the next 16, which are inputs 17 through 32, and the faders will flip to reflect what's coming in on those channels, okay? Right now we have 4 inputs that are coming from the stage, 17, 18, 19, 20. Those are not used, but those are automatically patched. So if you need to plug in more stuff to the stage, find those, plug in there, and it should pop up on the stage, okay? On the right-hand side, we have wireless microphone 11 and 12. And right now, these are being used as the headset microphones, okay? But it's inconvenient to have to, you walk up on stage, Scott, someone's on a headset, they're doing a teaching, right? It's inconvenient for me to go, oh, I have to unmute Scott. Let me jump over here and then unmute him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead, what we did is we added this, right? This group. So without flipping, I can mute and unmute you, and I can turn you up and down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In addition to that, I utilize this custom section over here. Okay. So these two, it says channel 31, channel 32. This is now a mute and unmute for those 2 channels. And this right here is a fader, essentially. So if we jog back, if you can do an extra wide shot, we're looking at these two that are on a different page. I can mute and unmute them. See how they reflect exactly that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or I can turn it up and down.
Oh, wow.
And I can do that without having to flip to the other layer. So I'm not inconvenienced by 2 steps. I can just reach over and mute and unmute here in these 2.
And those are the 2 far right ones.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. Now, what are the 2 left? So on the 3rd layer, you have additional inputs. So you have that translation microphone we talked about earlier. Okay, it's not being used. That's the headset microphone. Okay. You have a lobby input, which isn't being used as well, but there's a jack over at the welcome desk that Cross Purpose will be using. There'll be an iPad there that might have like Spotify playing all the time for just their background music, where the receptionist or the welcome person can play back music. That's what this is. It's not being used right now, and you wouldn't use it either, right?
When they want to play their music, it's on that 3rd level.
That's correct.
2nd fader. Okay.
Correct, yep. Then you have the audio from our PC if you're playing back video, okay? And you have your wireless video input. These are a left and a right and a left and a right, and they're linked together because you don't want to turn one up versus the other, right? So you just grab one fader and it turns up both like it's stereo. So segue back to our program, 9 times out of 10 when you're in here, you're going to be playing back videos, whether it's from the wireless video transmitter or whether it's from ProPresenter coming from the PC. So again, I have mute and unmute, muting those remotely, as well as up and down for volume.
Okay.
Okay.
When you say wireless video, you mean a laptop?
Yeah. So again, if we come back here and we look at this transmitter, right?
Yeah.
This transmitter can plug into any laptop that has USB-C video capability. And what will happen is it will immediately connect to our input here on our multi-viewer and show that laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I played a video on a laptop, we could show it that way. Like you were asking maybe how do I play a different video? You could have like a separate laptop, or I think it might work with iPads. I would check though, don't hold me to that.
Yeah.
And you could have it toggled up ready to play a different video and just hit play there. If you don't want to load the video in a ProPresenter first, that'd be a way to do it.
Okay.
Or if a presenter came in and they were just insistent, which is common, saying, you know, hey, I appreciate the help, but I'd actually much rather run my presentation myself with a laptop on stage, you can simply use that. Okay. That's a basic breakdown of the inputs and outputs. The last is a bus master, which is the same as these two here. So bus 1 through 8, bus 9 through 16. Like if I pull that up and you can see now it mirrors what over here. If I'm looking at bus 1 through 8 on this side, it just mirrors this on this side. Does that make sense?
So it's just another way to do the same thing that you can do.
Exactly. Yep.
So in terms of the top part of the board, should we be messing with any of that?
All this.
Yeah.
So one of the handy things about this console is that it's similar to an analog console in the way that for every channel, there's an adjustment point for every processing, whether it's compression, gating, EQ, the gain to bring more volume in and out, all that stuff, phantom power, right? But you have to follow a simple procedure first. So all of these sections are outlined and labeled, right? So if I want to adjust the equalizer, I'm going to go to the equalizer section, and all the knobs and buttons that adjust for the equalizer are within one block, and it's very clearly outlined. Okay. Every block, as you'll notice, has a view button. So if I want to see the equalizer's settings on this screen, all I have to do is hit view, and then it blows that section up on the screen itself.
For a particular channel.
Yes, right. Exactly. Anytime that I want to adjust a channel's equalizer, in this particular instance, I have to remember first I need to select the channel that I want to adjust. So in this case, if I go to wireless microphone 1, I want to adjust Peggy, who happens to be on wireless microphone 1. I want to adjust her equalizer settings. I have to hit select first, at which point now all of these reflect the settings for the selected channel.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to adjust Peggy's EQ, I would select first, then maybe I pull up the view and I look at it, at which point I can adjust here or I can adjust here. Okay. If I want to adjust the gain on that channel, I can select first and then I can adjust it here automatically, or I can hit the view button and look to see the settings here and then adjust these. These knobs always reflect and adjust what is directly above them. They're called encoders. So while it is a knob, it's also a button. So I can push down to select. It's two functions, and I can also use it as a knob to make adjustments. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Generally speaking, if I'm a visiting somebody that's going to have some friend of mine talk about whatever, I don't need to touch any of that stuff.
No. It should be set up so that a person can turn on a microphone, provided that there's batteries in it, make sure that it's unmuted, and then you can turn it up and turn it down, and it should sound good coming through the speakers almost immediately.
Yeah.
The way that things are set up currently is the sound system is tuned in such a fashion that whatever you put into it should be accurately recreated as it comes out. So if somebody has, a cold one day and they're sounding kind of stuffy, it's going to sound stuffy coming through the speakers too, right? It's not going to like magically fix that. But you can make adjustments on top of the accurate sound that's coming through the speakers. You're not going to have to EQ a bunch of stuff just to make it sound like the person on the microphone or like the instrument on the microphone coming through. So again, most of the time you shouldn't have to do anything like that, but you can.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about the visitors. We just
Yep.
want to make sure they know
Exactly what to do.
there's some easy things to
Mhm.
work on and some things to stay away from.
Let's take a look at the mutes. So here's our 16 inputs, and let's take a look at our groups. So let's say someone walks in and they see all these lights blinking, they're probably going to panic. Why are these lights all blinking? I can't get sound from anything. Well, these channels that are blinking on the mute button, they are muted. But the reason they're blinking is not because it's muted right here. Like you can see wireless microphone 8 is muted, but it's solid and it's not blinking. That's called a hard mute. That means that it is directly muted on this channel. If it's blinking, it's trying to say to you, hey, that channel's muted, but it's muted because you have it muted somewhere else. And in our case, we have these mute groups over here, these groups. So I can say, oh, my band is muted. And you can also see that we've taken the time to color code everything. So the band are blue. The group for the band is also blue. So if I want to unmute the band, I just simply unmute it. And you can see that now it's not blinking, right? If I want to unmute the vocals, I look at my yellow channel strips, I go to vocals, I unmute the vocals. Now you'll notice that wireless microphone 8 didn't unmute because it was hard muted. The reason this is muted is last Sunday we didn't have somebody on that microphone. So I just kept it muted the whole time. If it was unmuted and I muted this, you could see it blinks, etc. Let's say we only have these people show up and the red are not shown, right? If I hit mute, it's going to mute everybody, unmute, and it keeps the ones that were muted previously. Does that make sense?
Overrides the.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Overrides the group mute. Yep. So people, that is something where people panic. They go, oh no, I don't have any sound, it's muted. So my recommended procedure would be to come in, turn the system on, load your scene by hitting your preset here, and then make sure that all your DCAs and groups are unmuted. And then essentially you should be good to go.
On the far end, the green that is muted is.
Oh, that's your
the
PC.
Oh,
So you want to make sure that's unmuted too.
okay.
Then these two aren't used currently.
No.
I will say this, and you can keep this in the video unequivocally. There's like nothing that I can think of that you could do wrong where it's like not fixable by a button push or a reset or, you know, something like, again, some kid could come in here and do this, you know, and all you have to do is recall your scene and it's exactly the way it was before, right? If you turn this off, like if I turn this board off right now, it's going to make a pop, but there are protective limiters on the speakers, right? You should not be able to harm the speakers. If someone like a teen group comes in for a worship night or a lock-in or something like that, and they get really loud, which you heard how loud it can get in here when, I don't know if you were here when Jason was here and he got excited and we played the song. That was great. It can get even louder than that, and there are built-in protections so that you can't blow the speakers up, okay? So if someone just gets really overzealous and it gets deafeningly loud in here, it won't hurt the system, or at least it shouldn't in theory. Let's talk about the screens, because we haven't talked about the screens at all.
Yeah.
But all you have to do is essentially use the power button, point it at the TV, and turn it on.
Yeah.
The front TVs, I find I have to get like midway through the room to actually turn them on. And if the bottom right-hand corner goes from a red LED to a blue LED, then you know that you're on. You might not see a signal first, because the signal right now at default startup is defaulted to show an image from ProPresenter. So right now they're going to come up and they're going to be black because we're not sending anything from ProPresenter on the PC yet. Yeah, so these stage monitor speakers that we spoke about earlier, on the side of them there's a power cord. You need to turn these on manually. These are like one of the few items that will not come on with the power sequence unit. Yeah,
So at the end of any service, we need to shut off the monitors.
that's correct. Preferably first. Shut these off first before the console. Speaking of monitors, let me show you another thing.
Okay.
So let's say you're working with musicians and they say, hey, I'd like a little bit more of this in the monitor. Let's go back to our outputs, remember, right?
Okay.
So we think stage monitor speaker is an output. It's not an input, right?
Right.
So we go to our buses. Okay, so I'm going to go to bus to 1 through 8. That's where our monitors are located. They're pink.
Okay.
Left, monitor, center, right. Anytime you see left or right on this console will always be house perspective, meaning from the perspective of the sound engineer as you look at the stage. So that's house left. This is house right. Okay, left, right. Yeah, exactly. The last thing you need when you're sound engineering is to have to do mental math and gymnastics to figure out what's going on.
I understand.
So, in our example, Scott plays with the keyboard that's on house right.
Uh-huh.
And so he's using the right monitor.
And he says, I can't hear Peggy.
He can't hear Peggy. So we're going to hit the monitor. We're going to hit select on the monitor channel that we want to select.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till it's blue. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Then we're going to use this handy danny button. This is super important. It's called fader flip or sends on fader. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Hit it. What you're going to notice is that everything on the left just totally flipped. I'm going to do it again so you can see it on camera.
Uh-huh.
These are reflecting the volume of each channel going to the master fader, which is typical, right?
Right.
If I hit sends on fader while I'm selected on your monitor,
Mm-hmm.
now these faders are reflecting the amount of these channels going to
That.
monitor 3 or the right monitor or Scott's monitor in this case.
So when I see Peggy's slider up a little bit already, you've already given me.
That's
a little bit more
correct.
Peggy.
That's correct. Now, if you want more of Peggy, we turn this up.
Yeah.
We wait, acknowledge. Scott says, yep, that's enough. Great. And then I have to make sure I come back over here and hit this button or else I won't be mixing the main. There's 5 floor pockets in the stage. If you want to come behind, each one of them intentionally has a larger gap in the front. That's because your cables want to run out of the front. Otherwise, they'll get pinched if they run out of the side. These swing open, and then you have multiple inputs inside, okay? So we have different microphone inputs, and then these are essentially future-proof items. There's video stuff, and there's some network if you ever need anything. And then each one has convenience power, so you don't have to run long extension cords anywhere. I've made a bunch of changes here, right?
Yeah.
I've essentially changed your default, right?
Oh,
Right.
yeah. So now we need to save the scene.
You have to save the scene. If we don't save the scene,
Next time you hit the 12.
it's just going to undo all our progress. So I'm going to go to the show control over here. See this highlighted show control?
Yeah.
I'm going to hit view. And you're going to look for the scene tab.
Okay.
I see Living Hope's highlighted because that's where we were.
Right.
Down below, I have multiple options. I have go to that scene. I have save that scene. I'm going to use save, so I'm going to push the button.
Uh-huh.
The darker gray is always going to be your push button option. So I'm going to push save. It's going to give me a toggle like, hey, what do you want to do? I'm going to go ahead and change to my note tab, and I'm going to go ahead and put today's date in, which is the 13th. Switch here, 1, 3, 2, 5. Hit save. Do you want to overwrite this? Yes, I absolutely do. This is a new scene, and now it's overwritten in that scene. So as you look at this, what happens when you hit that button 12 over here on the bottom right hand side is it's loading that. It's the same as if I go show control view, go, are you sure? Yes. But I'm just doing it with one button push by hitting 12. Are you sure you want to load the scene? Confirm.
In the storage room is a rack. And this rack is part of what gets turned on when that key gets turned at the soundboard booth. So just so you know, this is where all the wireless mics signals live. It's all been routed. The man that built it told me it took 2 weeks to build this. There's a lot of stuff in here I don't understand, but just understand the reason you want to be really diligent about how to turn it on and how to turn it off is because there's a whole bunch of gear that's functioning because of, in other places, I should say. So that's it. Thanks for your time.